Let's say you want to own a gym. Here's the thing nobody tells you before you sign the lease. The model only works if your members never show up. A gym that fits 300 people sells memberships to 6,500. That's not a flaw. That's the entire business model. And the gyms that go bankrupt aren't the ones where nobody comes. They're the ones where everybody does. The month that destroys more gym owners than any recession is the one month every single year where people are most motivated to get in shape. Let's start with what it actually costs to get in. At the low end, you're looking at a small boutique studio, 2,000 to 4,000 square feet, a handful of treadmills, some free weights, maybe a yoga room. Stripped down and functional, that runs $150,000 to $300,000 to open. And that's before your first member walks through the door. Step up to a mid-size independent gym, 8,000 to 15,000 square feet, full equipment floor, locker rooms, maybe a small group class area. You're now at $500,000 to $1.2 million in startup costs, lease deposits, build-out, equipment, signage, software, insurance. It adds up faster than the spreadsheet suggests. Then there's the big box format, 20,000 square feet or more, full cardio deck, free weight section, turf area, group studios, sauna, childcare room. The kind of place with a smoothie bar that nobody uses profitably. That costs $2 million to $5 million to build and equip from scratch. Most people hear that number and think, that's the premium option. It's not. That's the minimum viable option if you want to compete with the chains. But here's the thing, the price of entry is not the number that kills people. It's something that doesn't appear on any equipment invoice. The non-obvious barrier is attrition modeling. Every gym underestimates it. Industry data puts average monthly churn at 3% to 5% of your total membership base. That sounds manageable until you run the math. At 3% monthly churn on a base of 1,000 members, you're losing 30 members every single month. That means you need to acquire 360 new members per year just to stay flat. Not grow, flat. Your entire marketing budget is running to stand still. And customer acquisition in fitness, paid search, social ads, local promotions, runs $80 to $200 per new member. At 360 new members a year just to replace the ones who left, that's $28,800 to $72,000 in acquisition cost before you grow by a single person. Eric Greenspan opened his first gym in Austin, Texas in 2014 with $280,000 in savings and a lease on a 6,000 square foot space near a university campus. He hit 800 members in the first year. He thought he'd figured it out. By month 18, he was down to 540 members and had burned through his operating reserve. The problem wasn't the product. It was that he'd modeled retention at 90% monthly. The real number was 96%, my only 4 points off. But compounded over 18 months, that gap cost him 260 members. He closed in 2016. He reopened in 2019 with a completely different model, which we'll get to. Let's build the actual profit and loss for a mid-size independent gym. 10,000 square feet, 1,200 members at $45 a month average. That's $54,000 in monthly revenue, $648,000 a year before you touch a single cost. Sounds profitable, until you see what it costs to exist. Rent, commercial gym space in a secondary market. Not Manhattan, not Beverly Hills, somewhere normal. Runs $18 to $28 per square foot annually. At 10,000 square feet, that's $180,000 to $280,000 a year. Call it $220,000. That's your single biggest fixed cost, and it doesn't care whether 40 people showed up today or 400. Equipment. Cardio machines lease for $80 to $150 per unit per month. A standard floor of 40 treadmills, ellipticals, and bikes runs $48,000 to $72,000 a year in lease payments alone. Free weights and racks you can buy outright, but they depreciate and they break. Budget $15,000 to $25,000 annually for equipment maintenance, replacement, and repairs. Staffing. A lean operation. 2 full-time managers, 8 part-time desk staff, 2 personal trainers on salary, runs $280,000 to $350,000 a year in payroll before benefits. If you add group fitness instructors, that climbs another $40,000 to $80,000. Utilities. A gym runs heating, ventilation, and air conditioning constantly. Lighting never goes off. Showers run all day. Monthly utility bills for a 10,000 square foot gym run $4,000 to $8,000. That's $48,000 to $96,000 a year. Software, insurance, cleaning, marketing, merchant fees on card transactions, legal. Add another $60,000 to $90,000. Put it all together and the gym burns through $620,000 to $820,000 a year. No profit, just to exist. Now remember what I said about the model only working if people don't show up. January. Every gym owner dreads January for the exact opposite reason you'd expect. January is when memberships spike. New Year's resolutions, guilt, optimism. A gym running 1,200 members might add 300 more in the first 2 weeks of January. And that's the problem. Those 300 people actually show up, all at once. Your equipment breaks down from overuse. Your staff gets overwhelmed. Your locker rooms are crowded. Your regulars, the members who actually pay consistently and stay for years, might get frustrated and quit. The churn spike that follows a January surge typically runs 4 to 6 weeks behind the membership spike. You gain 300, you lose 200 of your best customers. Net result, the busiest month of the year is frequently the most financially damaging month of the year. January isn't your best month. It's your most expensive acquisition cycle with the worst long-term retention attached to it. So how do the gyms that survive actually make money? Not on memberships, or rather, not primarily on memberships. Personal training. A single personal trainer working 30 billable sessions a week at $60 to $80 per session generates $93,000 to $125,000 in annual revenue. The gym takes 30% to 50% of that. One trainer, properly deployed, adds $28,000 to $62,000 to your bottom line. A gym with 6 trainers on that model generates $168,000 to $372,000 in ancillary revenue that never appears in the membership line. This is what Eric Greenspan figured out when he reopened. His second gym runs 900 members at $55 a month, but he staffs 8 full-time personal trainers and runs a semi-private training program at $200 per month per member. 400 members pay for semi-private. That single product line generates $80,000 a month, nearly as much as his entire membership base. Today, his gym clears $340,000 a year in net profit on $1.1 million in revenue. The real money in the gym business isn't in selling access to equipment, it's in selling results. And results require a human being standing next to you, which is the one thing a $10 a month membership was never designed to provide. Let's talk about how this goes wrong, because it goes wrong constantly. Planet Fitness franchisee group HQ Brands filed for bankruptcy in 2022 with 25 locations across the Southeast. Revenue was running at roughly $18 million annually across the portfolio. The problem wasn't revenue, it was that they'd signed 15-year leases at peak 2019 rental rates and built out locations at $1.5 million to $2 million per site using leveraged financing. When COVID hit and gyms were mandated closed for months across multiple states, the debt service didn't pause. They exited bankruptcy having surrendered 11 locations and written down $30 million in assets. Then there's Town Sports International, parent company of New York sports clubs, Boston sports clubs, and Washington sports clubs. Over 150 locations across the Northeast. They filed for bankruptcy in September 2020 with $150 million in debt. The failure mode wasn't unusual. It was the same story at scale. Long-term leases signed at peak rates, fixed costs that didn't pause when revenue did, and a membership base that canceled the moment they had a reason to. During the shutdowns, members stopped paying. The leases kept running. By the time they emerged from bankruptcy, they had closed 40 locations and wiped out their equity holders entirely. Here's the thing neither of them could have fixed, no matter how well they ran the operation. The gym business has the worst possible combination of cost structure and demand elasticity. Your costs are fixed: rent, equipment leases, staff, and they run whether the gym is full or empty. Your revenue is variable. Memberships cancel, people move, life happens, and there is absolutely nothing you can do to make someone keep paying for a gym they've decided not to use. The moment a recession hits, gym memberships are the first discretionary expense to go. Fixed costs, variable revenue, that gap is where gym businesses die. So let's put the two scenarios side by side. Optimistic scenario, you open a 10,000 square foot gym, you hit 1,400 members at $50 average monthly rate within 18 months. You build a personal training program with 6 trainers generating $200,000 in annual ancillary revenue. Gross revenue, $1,040,000. Operating costs, $720,000. Net profit before debt service, $320,000. At a $900,000 build-out cost financed at 7%, you clear debt in roughly 4 years. Payback period, 4 to 5 years. Realistic scenario, you hit 1,000 members at $44 average monthly rate. Churn runs at 4% monthly. You replace 480 members per year just to stay flat. Marketing costs climb. You add 2 trainers, but retention in the training program runs 60% of projections. You are acquiring members faster than you're keeping them and paying to do it. Gross revenue, $688,000. Operating costs, $690,000. Net, negative $2,000 a year before debt service. Payback period, never. The difference between a good year and a bad year is $322,000. Here's what this actually means for you. You probably have a gym membership right now. You probably haven't been in 3 weeks. The gym knows that. They counted on it when they sold you the membership. Planet Fitness has 18 million members. Their locations hold 300 people at capacity. The math only works because most of those 18 million never show up. You're not funding fitness. You're funding the gap between who you plan to be and who you actually are. And that gap, at $45 a month, is one of the most reliably profitable products ever sold.